All right, guys. So, one of our most, and I mean this genuinely, impressively stupid senators, John Kennedy from Louisiana, recently sat down with Theo Von and they got into the mass killing of children in Gaza, the genocide that's been going on for nearly 3 years now. Let's just go ahead and jump into this to see what the latest spin is to somehow try to justify what Israel has done.
That's my point of view. Tucker will have a different point of view.
Yeah.
He thinks that we're too close to Israel.
I think a lot of people from people that I see all the time, that's the number one thing that people say. They think we're too close to a country that's created a genocide against Palestine, and then is like in conflict with these other people around them. That it seems like they're just like kind of the bullies of the area. You know, it's like it feels like they're the terrorist organization. That's what it seems like to a lot of people.
A lot of people believe that. Hamas attacked.
Well, a lot of people believe it because it's objectively true. I mean, you don't have to like Hamas or Hezbollah, but there is literally nothing that Hamas as an organization has done in its entire history, its entire existence collectively to Israel that could even amount to what Israel has done to Gaza in any given week or month's time throughout the last 3 years.
Israel. And the Israelis fight back. And
By the way, notice the framing on this, right? He says, Hamas attacked Israel and Israel fights back. So it's not fighting back when a people who have been trapped effectively in the world's largest open air concentration camp for years and years and years. I mean, think about most of the members of Hamas, their military wing. They grew up in this concentration camp under a complete siege by Israel, where Israel controls every single thing that gets in and out of Gaza, placing arbitrary restrictions on them, using their mowing the lawn strategy and killing their family members, their friends, blowing up their houses. Most of the members of Hamas grew up under those conditions, but it's not fighting back when they try to launch an attack into Israel, but it is somehow fighting back when Israel then responds to that attack from the occupied population with a genocidal assault. I mean, just interesting framing there and kind of a double standard.
And they took over the Gaza Strip, and yes, a lot of Palestinians got hurt. And
not got hurt. I mean, got killed.
Got killed and hurt. And but Hamas.
But Hamas, I mean, that might as well be at this point the catchphrase for American Zionist politicians. That's all they have in their back sleeve, in their back pocket, because there is no justifying the relentless targeted bombings of journalists and medical workers, the sniping of children through the head and the chest in a systematic way, the abduction of civilians and bringing them to torture camps inside of Israel, the bombing of schools and mosques and churches and refugee camps, etc. There is no justification. So all they have is this but Hamas.
Hamas would hold the Gazans hostage. They would put them out front.
But how do we even know that? They killed 220
because
something.
We've seen it.
But they killed 220.
You know what we actually have seen? Because this is the narrative from the Israelis is, well, every Palestinian civilian that's been killed, it's because Hamas was using them as a human shield. Somehow the logic there is that Palestinians were being used as human shields in apparently every square inch of Gaza. There was a Hamas militant actively aiming at Israel within every square inch of the Gaza Strip. But you know who we actually do know for a fact uses human shields in a systematic way? Again, unsurprisingly here, but every accusation is a confession. It's Israel. I mean, this is just one headline from the Associated Press. I've covered this numerous times before on the channel. Israeli use of human shields in Gaza was systematic, according to soldiers and former detainees telling the Associated Press. Just one example of what they would do is they would go and abduct a Palestinian civilian in Gaza, and these soldiers, if they were, worried about an apartment or whatever building they were trying to go into, that it may be booby-trapped or a tunnel or whatever else the case may be, they would detain the Palestinian civilian, they would tie their hands behind their back, point a gun at them, and say, you go in first, so that if there's something in there, you get killed or you get blown up, right? That's just one example of what they would do. Another one is, there was a video that I covered on the channel at the time where they were literally strapping a Palestinian to the front of their Jeep in order to try to say, look, don't fire on this military vehicle because there's a Palestinian civilian literally strapped to the top of the Jeep. That is a real, literal example of using human shields instead of this like vague notion of, oh, well, Israel says that there may have been a Hamas commander, a Hamas militant in the vicinity of this building, and so we had to level the entire building to the ground. And by the way, if that's the logic, then this would also apply to Israel. Go look up a map of where the IDF headquarters are, where all of these military bases throughout Israel are. They're all within civilian centers, near malls and near shops and near apartment buildings. So that would then, justify leveling those apartment buildings because maybe some IDF soldiers live in there, or maybe it's close to one of their military facilities. I mean, it's, again, just a sick logic.
Something journalists that went there to document what was going on.
There's no question there have been civilian deaths.
They wouldn't let journalists in to even document what was happening there.
There have been civilian deaths, but it is primarily the fault. I'm not saying Israel is blameless. Look, war is ugly.
Yeah, but is this war?
But it is war.
You think it's war?
It is war.
They just had an article yesterday that came out from the UN. If here's some findings of the commission, Israel has killed 20,000 children and injured 44,000 more since October 7th, 2023. Let me see. Palestinian children have been arrested and subjected to torture and other severe forms of mistreatment in Israeli prisons. This is all part of, let me see, United Nations.
Well, first, I wouldn't believe it if it came from the UN.
Oh, really? They're not. Do you feel like they're not liable?
They're not. They're not objective.
Sorry, reliable.
They're not objective.
Okay.
They're not objective.
Well,
number
that's the thing. It's tough.
Number two, and I know children got killed, and it breaks your heart. Hamas kills children too. So does Hezbollah.
Okay, so we finish off there with, again, the classic but Hamas, but Hezbollah, and completely deflecting from the question. I mean, notice when it comes down to it, when you read reports like this from the United Nations or from any other human rights organization, then it just suddenly becomes, oh, well, they're biased against Israel, right? It couldn't be the fact that, I mean, even just putting reports like this from the United Nations, they came out with this report. It was confirming, yes, what Israel has done in Gaza is a genocide. They say that Israel has committed genocide against the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip, found that the intense scale and systematic nature of the Israeli military operations have continued, resulting in unprecedented death, injury, and trauma to Palestinian children. So this was just one report that they came out with. But like the idea here is that, what, do we not have endless, countless tens of thousands of videos, of images, of direct testimony from people on the ground? Like, this was a fully live streamed genocide, the first live streamed genocide in modern history that the entire world bore witness to. Like, you don't even necessarily need reports like this to understand exactly what's been going on. But again, the idea here from guys like John Kennedy or people within the Israeli government or the Israel lobby here is that you can't trust your lying eyes, right? You can't trust any of these human rights organizations like B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization, or Amnesty International, or Human Rights Watch, or the United Nations. You can't trust any of them. You can't trust the videos. You can't trust the pictures coming out from Palestinian journalists who they've been systematically murdering. You can't trust any of that. You can only trust the Israeli government. You can only trust the press releases of the IDF or from the US State Department. That's genuinely what they expect people to believe at this point, and it's obviously not worked, right? This is why an overwhelming majority, I mean, probably like 80 to 90% of the Democratic voter base at this point has turned on Israel. A solidified portion of the Republican base at this point has turned on Israel. That was sort of the crux of their initial conversation here, was about people like Tucker Carlson, or, you know, people like Theo Von or Tim Dillon or others who are sort of like on the right end of the spectrum, who are, you know, calling this out now. So it's overwhelming. And again, it's just because all you have to do is understand the reality that has been staring you in the face. A lot of these guys on the right came to it much later than people on the left have. I mean, we've been talking about this well before October 7th on this channel. Many others have as well. It didn't start on October 7th, but it seems like there's a massive, sizable portion of the American people who are just fully done with this country and are sick of the Israel lobby, the mainstream media in this country, insisting that, again, we deny what we're seeing with our own eyes, what we are hearing directly from on the ground, and demand this trust that they've done absolutely fuck all to earn from us in the first place. Now, just a couple other updates and points that I wanted to make in terms of the latest on Gaza. I mean, We have this here from Al Jazeera. Again, foreign doctors, repeated testimony, including from American doctors, from British doctors who went to Gaza voluntarily to serve there. And they've repeatedly said that Israel is systematically targeting Gaza's children. I mean, the amount of doctors that I saw personally who gave testimony on this, saying that they would treat children on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day, where children were showing up with sniper bullet wounds to the head and to the chest. Like, this is not, oops, we bombed an area and there was an incidental civilian casualty or something. This is psychopathic IDF war criminal soldiers who are looking down the barrel of a sniper rifle and murdering children, right? These are kill shots that they're going for, blowing holes in the heads of children in their chest. There was also even more horrifying reports of them targeting the genitals of people within inside Gaza with some of these sniper shots. And so again, this is not a secret. This has been well documented. We also, his comments on the UN there about how the United Nations can't be trusted. It reminded me of this absolutely classic clip from 2024. Where an Israeli ambassador got up and basically gave a real-time physical demonstration of, again, the idea that every accusation from Israel is actually a confession. Here he is shredding the UN Charter while accusing everybody around him of shredding the UN Charter. I mean, this is amazing.
So that you can see exactly what you are inflicting upon the UN Charter with this destructive vote. You are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing, shredding the UN Charter. Shame on you.
So, I mean, it doesn't get more brazen than that, right? I mean, and by the way, this was in response to the United Nations voting overwhelmingly to give the Palestinian delegation, slightly more power in the United Nations and to look forward to recognizing the possibility of a Palestinian state at the United Nations. And so this guy gets up there and he's literally shredding the UN Charter in front of everybody and saying, you all are shredding the UN Charter. Shame on you for doing what I'm doing right now, actually on camera in front of the entire world. I mean, again, it doesn't get more in your face perfected than that. Every single accusation is a confession. We also had an update in terms of the future plans for Gaza. Obviously, there's been this alleged ceasefire that's been in place for supposedly months now. Israel, as they do with every single agreement that they are a part of, has been violating it on a daily basis. They continue to attack inside of Gaza with nearly daily bombings and killings of Palestinian civilians. They continue to restrict aid from getting into Gaza. They continue to expand beyond the yellow line of where they're supposed to be occupying inside of Gaza. And in the meantime, it looks like this is their future plan. So here we have Israel preparing to begin moving Palestinians into what are effectively concentration camps in Gaza within weeks. This is taking it from like the, sort of more theoretical concentration camp of the entirety of the Gaza Strip and the smaller portion that they've been confined into as effectively functioning as a concentration camp to now literal fenced off concentration camps inside of Gaza. So according to Israel Hayom, unarmed civilians would be directed into fenced camps in the Tel al-Sultan area near Rafah, which has been completely flattened to the ground, by the way, while a foreign force operating under the Trump administration's Board of Peace polices the area from a newly built base that's going to be nearby. And again, the Trump administration's Board of Peace, I mean, this was like a wildly corrupt thing that he set up, that he's like personally the king of, and he gets to direct. And you have Jared Kushner, eyeballing potential real estate investments in the future of Gaza for him and his family to profit from. It's an entirely nonsense, a peace board here that we're talking about. This is effectively how Israel is trying to mobilize to finish off the genocide. But they say the plan is described as a pincer movement, with Israel expanding its military control over Gaza while the Palestinian population is concentrated into controlled enclaves, leaving Hamas without a population, territory, or resources. And officials say that the camps will receive aid and caravans, but not concrete needed to rebuild Gaza. And if you believe that they are going to be receiving adequate aid or caravans of supplies, I got a fucking bridge to sell you, because Israel, again, has not abided by the amount of aid that they're required to allow into Gaza for effectively a single day since this genocide began. Now, we also have, at the same time, just in terms of the torture that is going on in Israeli facilities, there's this doctor, Hussam Abu Safia, who has been arbitrarily detained in Israeli jails for now over 18 months without trial, without charge, since the 27th of December in 2024, when he was arrested while on duty at his hospital in Gaza City. So this is what they do. They kidnap doctors from the place that they're committing a genocide and bring them back to a torture dungeon and torture them, again, with no trial, no due process, no charges that are even leveled at this guy, just torturing a doctor to the point where, his lawyer recently went and, tried to get an interview with him, and he's effectively on death's door. So, I mean, they say down here, in blatant violation of its obligations under international law, Israel has denied the Red Cross visits to Palestinian prisoners and detainees since October of 2023. Reports of Dr. Hussam Abu Safia's deteriorating conditions and the severe abuse that he is enduring at the hands of the Israeli prison service emerged following a visit by a lawyer for Physicians for Human Rights Israel on July 2nd of 2026, so just a couple days ago. This lawyer stated that since Dr. Abu Safia's transfer to the notorious underground detention facility Reykjavik, he has been subject to daily beatings, threats, and other forms of abuse. He reported observing fresh bruises and torture marks on Dr. Hussam Abu Safia's head and across his body, leaving him barely recognizable. He also says that the doctor arrived at their meeting with his hands and feet shackled, and in his chilling account, this lawyer described him as weak and on the verge of losing consciousness. He further reported that the doctor told him, "This is the last time that you'll see me. They brought me here to kill me." So again, just kind of classic Israeli behavior here, right? The supposedly only democracy in the Middle East that respects human rights. The IDF is the most moral army in the world, and this is what our ally is actually doing. More here. We had this video that went somewhat viral online. You won't see this covered in the mainstream media, but this is just sort of like the daily kind of like almost, I hate to say lower scale, but relative to, what we see in Gaza and what we see with just straight up, murders, this is sort of like a lower scale form of terrorism that the IDF engages in on a daily basis. This is in the West Bank, and you can see here an IDF soldier walks up to this guy's car, opens it, looks at him, talks to him for a minute here, and then he reaches down and he grabs what seems to be a stun grenade, a flash grenade, or whatever you want to call it, chucks it into the car, and then shuts the door on him. Just, I mean, again, it is sadistic, it's depraved, but this is exactly how the IDF operates on a daily basis. This is what Palestinians are supposed to just sort of like put up with, not resist, right? This is what they're supposed to be subjected to. We also have another one here. This is, as pointed out here by Tamer, heartbreaking. So this guy and some other activists in Gaza tried to set up water stations inside of Gaza to provide fresh, clean drinking water to the population that obviously is still facing restrictions on aid getting in from the Israeli occupation forces. And so he posts about this online just a couple of days ago about how, look, it's successful. We have this water tank. People are getting fresh water from us. And almost immediately after he posted about this on Twitter, Israel bombed it and killed several of their workers, just, I guess, out of spite for the fact that Palestinians could have access to some fresh drinking water for that day. We had another one here. I mean, just truly psychopathic behavior here. So here from Prem, we had the Egyptian soccer coach. They just played Argentina and got absolutely like ripped off at the end of the game. It was 2-0, and then Argentina scored like 3 goals in the last like 15 minutes of the game, and Argentina ended up winning. But before the game, you had the coach of Egypt who was talking about Palestine and calling for Palestinian liberation, and saying if you want to stand on the side of humanity, you have to stand with the Palestinian people. And yesterday, the coach asked FIFA to use its soft power to help Palestinians. And today, just as the Egypt-Argentina match began, Israel killed Mohammed al-Wahidi of the Egyptian Relief Committee in Gaza, which also was organizing screenings of the matches inside of Gaza. So God forbid anybody speaks out on behalf of Palestinians. God forbid somebody tries to organize for this population that has been effectively mass tortured for the last 3 years. And they try to go and have them screen soccer matches so that they can watch the games. And they end up murdering the guy who was helping to organize that, sort of, again, just like out of spite for the fact that anybody would possibly dare to speak up for the Palestinian people. And final couple of things here that I have for you guys. We just had a major announcement in terms of this Board of Peace plan that we have from Trump and from Israel. Dropsite News is saying that the Gaza Government Media Office announced the dissolution of the Government Emergency Committee as part of preparations to transfer governance to the proposed National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, or the NCAG. And they say Mohammed Abdul, the head of the Government Emergency Committee and acting head of government follow-up, submitted his resignation. Officials said that all administrative and legal arrangements for the handover have been completed and presented to Palestinian factions, clan representatives, civil society organizations, and a UN observer. Remaining government staff will continue serving only in technical and reserve roles to ensure essential public services continue during the transition. And the statement called on all relevant parties to expedite the deployment of the Board of Peace approved National Committee so that it can formally assume administrative responsibility in Gaza. So translation here, this is effectively Hamas as a governing institution willingly ceding power and saying, we are willing to give power to a technocratic committee to take over in order to try to make some progress on, ending up with some sort of a lasting peace, right? And this is, again, as Israel has spent the last number of months systematically violating every single aspect of this supposed deal that they had with Hamas, and constantly adding new things to the deal, new demands to the deal, demanding that Hamas and other Palestinian factions in Gaza completely disarm ahead of any sort of like commitments that are actually followed through on by the Israelis. And so, in effect, hear from Jeremy Scahill, this is what this is intended to do. I mean, this is to crush Palestinian self-determination, to crush the resistance to Israeli occupation, to Israeli expansionism, to the Israeli apartheid state, to the Israeli ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, the genocide in Gaza. It is intended to crush any sort of legitimate armed resistance, which Palestinians have every right in the world to engage in, against the state of Israel that is functioning as their occupier, as their torturer, as their killer inside Gaza and inside the West Bank as well. And so, obviously, nothing really positive that I have here, for you guys. I wish that I did, but it's important that we stay on Gaza as a subject in the West Bank as well, because this gets overshadowed. It gets overshadowed in the wake and the aftermath of the explosion of the Iran war, and that's obviously still going on. And I'll have more coverage for you guys on that tomorrow. But in the background, and Israel has sort of like used the war in Iran and used all of these other things in order to distract from what they're actually doing on the ground in Gaza. But this is still happening on a daily basis. It's not going anywhere. The genocide is continuing. They just sort of slowed down the pace of it in order to try to get the international media off their backs. And unfortunately, it seems like it worked. I mean, in effect, like you have outlets like Dropsite News, and you have channels like this one and some others that, try to cover it as best as we can. But the mainstream media has completely moved on from this. Our political class has completely moved on from Gaza as an issue. But, again, it's incredibly important that we stay on this and, ensure not only that there's genuinely some sort of a push for a lasting, real resolution and self-determination for Palestinians, but, even just beyond that, this idea that Israel can simply constantly engage in this kind of genocidal behavior, this kind of, perpetual expansionism that they're engaging in, and that our government is going to, just at a baseline, continue to fund them, continue to arm them, continue to give them cover on the international stage. I covered a couple weeks ago, Congress is shoving through in the NDAA for this year, effectively a merging of the U.S. and Israeli militaries together at a time where more Americans than ever have turned against the Israeli government. So this issue in terms of Gaza isn't just about Gaza. It's also about, every other aspect of our lives, whether it's the surveillance state, whether it's the military industrial complex, whether it's foreign lobbying organizations here in the United States and the influence that they have over our politics here. This is about, many different things converging into one issue. And so I think it's important that we don't abandon it at any point. So I'll leave you guys off with that. Obviously, again, I'm going to have more for you tomorrow. And obviously YouTube's not going to like this one. So like, comment, subscribe, share the video, do whatever you can to try to get it out to a broader audience.
Politic guy has the best politics. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying